This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. We're rocking a beautiful spring Toronto background behind me because I love Toronto. But I'm actually closer to my guest because my guest is in the UK, and of course I'm an hour ahead of Eastern Standard Time. But I bet you my guest doesn't know where New Brunswick, Canada is. Atlantic Canada. Yeah, nobody knows where that is. Yeah. People are more likely to know where Parts Unknown, where the Ultimate Warrior was apparently from, than they would New Brunswick. So that's why I call it New Blundrick. But folks, I got connected with a fellow named James E. Davidson not too long ago through Leslie Hoffman, of course, who you would know as a stunt woman who you see on screen in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And had a wonderful chat with James E. a few days ago. And he has connected me with a wrestling personality out of the UK. And I've had the pleasure of watching this woman and some of her matches on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with this person. Folks, she is feisty in the ring. She's dangerous in the ring. But outside the ring, I heard she's soft as a snowflake. Folks, I give you the awesome, wonderful Hayden Morgan. How do you do, Hayden?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's wonderful to have you come on here, you know. Where's your flaming orange hair?
Oh, I know. One thing about me is my hair will probably be different every single time you see me on a show.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just change it up. I'm notoriously known for just you never know what color my hair is gonna be.
Is that the same with, now I may butcher her name, Oscula Bella? Did I butcher her name?
Who are we talking?
The woman you tag teamed up
Oh,
with.
the Oracle Bella.
Or Oracle Bella. I'm
I thought
sorry,
that's
I
what you meant.
butchered that.
Yeah, yeah, she dyes her hair a good bit too. It must be just a thing with alternative girls. You just have to change it up.
Is that why you two tag teamed up a few times? You know, we're gonna confuse our opponents with our
That
hair.
that could be an interesting angle, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I like watching you two in there, you know, but I saw a three-way match where yeah, she probably should have behaved herself or you would have had to make her tap out.
Yeah, that one was a tough pill to swallow, I guess. I thought she was my friend, my tag partner. But I guess you can't really trust anyone.
No. No, she just had of you know, you two were going 2-on-1 and she
Yeah,
just had
we
yeah.
had our own against Succubus, and then I don't know, she just turned on me, but it worked out all right for me in the end, so
Good. You know, Hayden, I am delighted to have you on here. And it's not too many places that are ahead of me in the time zone, you know, because I'm an hour ahead of Eastern time, you know, so I'm closer to you than New York or Los Angeles. So
oh, fair.
I thought it was interesting when I had Jamesy on. Jamesy said, "Yeah, I'll come on your show at such and such Eastern time." And I'm like, I've never had anybody from the UK say that. Because
I'll
you
be
know,
honest, that all confuses me. Like, see when it's like pay-per-views coming on at whatever Eastern time, I'm like, I don't know what time zone anywhere is.
well, it's interview here for today was 1 p.m. Eastern time, which means it would have been 2 p.m. my time. It's after 2 p.m. my time. So
Whoa.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's after 6 p.m. where you are, right?
Yeah, 3 minutes past.
Yep, 3 minutes past here too. I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to get that. Yeah. So I need to ask, because I've never been to the UK. What's it like there?
Um, Cold, wet, and rainy.
Oh, same like this is just like that here right now.
Yeah, I'm
Raining.
from Northern Ireland or north of Ireland, however you want to say it. So it's like a very tiny, tiny part of the UK.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's times where like we've snow, but London and mainland is like sun shining. So just depends. But I like it here. I mean, there's where I'm from, I live near the coast.
Hmm.
So it's really beautiful around this area. It's nice.
Well, I'm wearing my Princess Victoria shirt today. Are you
Nice.
familiar with her?
Not super familiar, but a little bit.
She retired in wrestling in 1984 after a neck injury. But
Oof.
she and Velvet McIntyre were tag team champions in WWE, and I've had her on here 4 times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I got this shirt from her and thought I'm gonna wear this today for just this occasion. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah. Yeah, she said she would always wear pigtails to the ring. And she said you have no idea how much of her hair is probably in Wendy Richter's collection right now for the amount of times her pigtails got pulled.
Yeah, that's just part of it, really, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, but I would like to know because here in New Brunswick we used to have Grand Prix wrestling growing up, and we used to watch that a little bit, and then when I got a little older, it was 1987, right when WrestleMania 3 happened. Now, WrestleMania 3 to me, I still consider the greatest wrestling event I've ever seen. I'd never seen it topped. And nonetheless, I never followed wrestling until I noticed the Hostess potato chips had the stickers in them. And I remember somebody I noticed in class one day in school. Um, Somebody had a sticker and it had Jake the Snake Roberts on the sticker with that snake. And I was like, I asked who that was. He mentioned that he puts a snake on his opponent at the end of the match, and I'm like, really? I was quite intrigued. I mean, I kind of want to see that. And the Hostess potato chips kind of got me curious about wrestling because I didn't see a lot of bizarre characters in Grand Prix wrestling outside maybe the Cuban Assassin. I didn't see a lot of bizarre characters, but these chip bags. Oh my goodness, there was 20 stickers, and I saw a host of characters. I was like, I couldn't believe they were actually human beings. When you think of wrestling and then you see characters on these stickers like the Honky Tonk Man, Kamala, George the Animal Steel, Outback Jack. Um, I'm like, these are wrestlers. So it was almost like human cartoons. But I see you in the ring, and I'm like, you still carry on that tradition because you have the flaming orange hair, and by the way, I love that. And you get the face paint, and you're done up really cool. You could have fit right in on those stickers and been right at home, you know? And
Thanks.
I say that as a compliment, by the way, because it's like, yeah, that because a lot of people love to go to wrestling as an escape and they see these larger than life characters, you know? So, what I wanted to ask you, because of course WrestleMania 3 the chip bags got me into wrestling. Uh, what got you into wrestling?
So like I wasn't always a wrestling fan, but I always liked to play wrestling with my older brother, who is also a wrestler. Um, so I was always like, I always enjoyed, messing around, breaking my mom's sofa, doing choke slams on each other, that kind of thing. But it wasn't like until years later. I always liked Undertaker and, like DX and stuff because my brother watched it from no age. So I'd maybe like pop my head in when I noticed one of them was on the TV. Lita and the Hardy Boys as well. That was like kind of all I sort of cared about at the time. But then must have been when I was like maybe 15, if I'm right, around the time that the women's revolution kind of started in WWE. That kind of inspired me, and it was like, oh, like women can wrestle but be took seriously rather than, the brown panty matches and stuff. That was never something that I would want to do. Um, yeah, it was just inspiring, especially because like, Paige is a girl from the UK. She's alternative. I am a bit alternative. I was like, I very much to relate to her. So it was like, maybe I could give it a go. My parents said no because I was under 18, and I think they were kind of going for it until the waiver said, like, death may happen. And they were like, nope, nope, not doing it. Obviously, it's a small risk, but it still has to be on your waiver. So then I had to wait until I was of age that I didn't need my parents' permission. And then a school near me had put up that they were having an open day. So I just signed me and my brother up to it, and then we showed up, gave it a go, realized, yeah, no, we love this, and we haven't looked back since. And it's been 7 years now.
Since when does the fiery orange-haired female in the ring, Hayden Morgan, need permission from her parents? When?
Yeah, no, I knew. I started out as a little face though, so I wasn't always the feisty girl I am now.
See, now I'm going to look at you differently in the ring. I'm like, she didn't have permission. I
So she
wonder if
burned it, just shattered the whole illusion.
you like Paige, huh?
Yeah, like her and AJ Lee, I love both of them. Like I said, I always loved Lita from the start, because she was kind of one of the only women at that time, that was just going out there and beating up the men, and I was like, yeah, I love this.
Oh, I love AJ Lee. She's so small. Um, um, Lita, I love. Lita is awesome, you
Yeah,
know.
she's awesome. She's great.
Now,
But yeah, I mean, Paige and AJ Lee. It was around the time they were having their feud back and forth just before the Divas title was kind of done away with. It was just the stuff they were doing together. I was like, this is a bit more similar to what the men are doing rather than go in there and have a mud bath fight. I'm like, nah, I want to wrestle.
well, my best fight could be good if you're relaxing, you know.
I guess.
Isn't that what they do at mud baths? Relax?
Uh, I suppose maybe. Not
I'm
my
th
cup of tea, but
I'm thinking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a 1978 film where they had Jeff Goldblum and Veronica Cartwright, where there was a place where they had the mud, not yeah, the mud bath scenes where they do the massages and stuff like that. And
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I it's one of those things that stood out in that movie. There was no nudity in that movie. It was just what they professionally did. But nonetheless, um, I was born in the early 70s, so I'm really big on wrestling from the 70s and the 80s. So but I'm certainly very well aware of the names that you had mentioned. And I definitely saw the Page movie Wrestling with My Family, you know.
Yeah,
Yep. But women wrestling you didn't see a lot when I gr was growing up.
yeah.
You might have seen it just a little more than you would. I don't know if the correct term is midget wrestling, but that's what they called it back then. You might see them once in a while. I mean, uh, you see that a lot more now, and I'm glad you see it a lot more now. But there was definitely women I was impressed with back in
Mm.
the day. Yeah. I did not know women could do cage matches until I saw Wendy Richter do three of them. Yeah. Now, Wendy Richter was in WrestleMania 1. She got the belt and she had Cyndi Lauper in her corner. You know, that was the whole rock and wrestling. Wendy was a tough cookie. You know, she's still alive. I haven't had her on. I'd love to. But I was like, wow, I've seen her three cage matches. I'm like, this woman is tough. I never thought of a female doing a cage match. And it's like, Wendy kind of brought that out. Do you ever,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you familiar with Wendy Richter?
Yeah, I've now like I'm not I wouldn't say that I'm able to rhyme off like her whole career or anything like that, but obviously like I've looked back at stuff on YouTube and been searching up like every female I can think of when I was first getting into it and stuff. Um but yeah, like it's inspiring when women go and do the thing that they're not known to do, not meant to do. This is for the men, and then a woman goes and does it and it's like, yeah, do it.
I bet you're familiar with the fabulous Moolah.
Yes.
Yeah, Princess Victoria here did not like Moolah. I think you could probably guess why.
Yeah. Well, not everyone's cup of tea, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but Moolah, of course, held the belt for a long, long time. That's because she didn't have to face Hayden Morgan in the ring. That's why.
um, I guess we'll never know.
Never know. But Princess Victoria and Velvet McIntyre remind me a lot of what I'm seeing out of women today, which is really great because I find that a lot of the women today are very much more animated. They seem a lot more athletic in the way they move in the ring.
Mhm.
Velvet McIntyre, I had seen do a move at the first Survivor Series that I've only seen done since by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat's the only other one I've seen do this. Hit a cross body and spin around in circles as you're doing it.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of just defying gravity, really, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I've seen Ricky the Dragon Steamboat do it, and I've seen Velvet McIntyre do it. I've seen Velvet McIntyre do it more than once, you know. And if you get a chance to go back and watch Velvet McIntyre and Princess Victoria, they did some athleticism I didn't see done a lot back then in
Yeah.
women's wrestling. Yeah. Um, but uh, nonetheless, you know, I'm glad that you see more women involvement in wrestling, and I see, and I love to see them do different types of matches too. You know, uh, like I said, Wendy was the first one I seen do a cage match,
Mm.
and I love the fact, and I'm not surprised. Well, I was surprised, but at the same token, when you see Wendy Richter, it's not hard to believe that she could do a cage match, you know? Yeah. She's a tough cookie. But nonetheless, who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Um,
I know you
always,
mentioned Undertaker.
yeah, I love Undertaker. I feel like that's kind of partially where the face paint and the look sort of kind of comes from, a bit of inspiration there. I love Stone Cold because he's just a badass. Obviously Lita.
Lita
More
Stetson.
like recent ones, kind of like I was saying around the time when I got into watching wrestling, on the men's side of things, I love the Shield. They were like, I was like, okay, I'll watch the women because I want to see what they're doing, and then I was like, no, hold on a minute, who are these guys? I like this whole angle. This is interesting. I just thought they looked really badass, which we totally ripped off their attire on our last show. Like we just came out looking like the Shield, but it was whatever.
I want to say something about the Shield because I find this dynamic interesting. They all had different styles. Roman Reigns was the powerhouse,
Yeah.
you know? Seth Rollins was the technician. He
Mhm.
was the best wrestler out of the three of them, you know? He also did a lot of high flying moves.
Mhm.
Then you had Dean Ambrose, who was the brawler.
Yeah.
I like the fact that their dynamics were different. I actually wish that they had the six-man tag match between them and the Wyatt family at WrestleMania because I remember when they had that six-man tag match, I was like, wow, I mean, nobody won that match, but it was the because both teams were heels.
Yeah.
But you kind of really were leaning and cheering for the Shield because in the end, I mean, Ambrose was back in the dressing room chasing after one of them, and you had Rollins outside the ring knocked half to pieces, and then there end up all three of them in the ring there with Roman Reigns, and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to. That was kind of the moment I thought Roman Reigns is going to end up being a superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But no, they had a really good dynamic going. I think it's sort of kind of like I'm also part of the stable, so I kind of feel like whether we all realize it or not, obviously, like I said, we totally ripped off their attire in the last show, so we know what we're doing. Um, but I feel like we have a bit of that going in like our stable as well. We all have like our different wrestling styles, and I just think it's more interesting if you have a stable that kind of covers all bases. And I think the Shield did that really, really well.
Now, I like your finisher. Who inspired your finisher? Was there any wrestlers that you watch where, oh, I like this, or I like a combination of this or that, or what you did in the ring?
Is it the submission or the TKO?
The submission actually is what I was thinking about, but yeah,
Uh,
go with both of them.
well, the TKO, I like to be able to showcase that because I'm maybe not like I'm a little bit bigger than I was when I started. Um, but I feel like I got very underestimated in terms of strength. It's like I'm very, very strong. So I kind of wanted to do that to show that I was strong, and then also because it's kind of like a stunner. It's like a little nod to Stone Cold. My brother had suggested it one day. It was like, why do you not do a TKO? I was like, oh, I don't know. Am I strong enough? Am I not? And then I did it and was like, yeah, no, I feel like this is my, my Stone Cold moment. Without fully ripping that off. But the submission, um, to be honest, like I was, I was kind of just messing around one day at training. We were doing like front face locks, and then I was like, how can I make this nasty and disgusting? Because that's my whole moveset. Like, how can I make this nasty? Um, and it was kind of, it reminded me of like some things you see Sasha Banks do, or even like Daniel Bryan. But I just kind of, a lot of my moveset is maybe like seeing a move from someone, combining it with like other bits of other moves, and then just being like, and how can I make that nasty? But yeah, Sasha Banks, when it comes to submission stuff, I find that she's like really good to watch. She's very technical, but some of her stuff can be made to be quite nasty.
Absolutely. You like Charlotte Flair? I love Charlotte Flair.
Controversial, no, I'm not a fan. Yeah, I know.
What
Uh,
one of the things I like about her is that she takes some of her dad's elements, but yet still makes it her own. And I love that about her, because you can't replicate Ric Flair, you
Oh
know?
no, definitely not.
No.
Like I can't deny she's a fantastic athlete. Of course, she's
Hmm.
like I respect her on that way. I just mean as a as a wrestling fan. So she's doing her job well. You know, if she's meant to be a heel, I don't like her, so she's doing her job well. Um, but like regardless of whether I'm wanting to boo or cheer for her, she's phenomenal in the ring, and like I could never do some of the stuff she does.
Yeah. I've had a few wrestling personalities on here. I've done a tribute to Rowdy Roddy Piper on here, who was one of my favorites growing up. I've had his son, Colt, and daughter Ariel on here. Ariel now wrestles as Teal Piper, and I have her on here pretty much every year. And she's got a lot of her dad's feisty character in her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I've had Larry Zabisco on here, and he told a lot of cool stories about working with the legendary Bruno Sammartino, who I consider Bruno the greatest wrestling champion ever. Bruno was to me top notch, and so I got to hear a lot of stories about that, especially Zbyszko talking about his showdown in Shea main event steel cage match with Bruno in 1980, which was phenomenal. Um, so I've had a few wrestling personalities, and of course Princess Victoria's been on here a number of times as well, and she tells some very interesting stories about being in the ring. um, but anyway, I was going to ask, did you get to meet any of your heroes?
Um, Gosh, I don't think so. As far as I'm trying to remember, um, I bumped into Drew McIntyre one time at like a indie show when that period he was released, and it was terrifying to be honest. He's a lovely guy, but I was just kind of like making my way through the crowd to go to the merch table, and then like quite literally bumped into him, and then it was like looking up at a tower. I just felt like my neck was going up for days. I was like, oh no, I'm so embarrassed. So I mean, I guess that's the closest I've came, like quite literally walking into him. It was so embarrassing. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. But I've never met Undertaker, and that's one that I would love to meet. Like I would probably cry. Um, I've met like I've met wrestlers, but and that's not to like diss the ones that I have met, but I wouldn't say I've met any of my like heroes, Um, unfortunately. But I don't know, maybe someday.
You know, I've attended a handful of wrestling events. We don't get a lot of that stuff here,
All
but
right.
I remember I'd say a good 25 years ago or more, I saw WWE here, and at the end of the show, people were waiting out back to see the wrestlers come out to get in their vehicles to leave and whatnot. And I remember Bret the Hitman Hart came out, and I just kind of reached out through security and I patted him on the shoulder. It felt like solid rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just felt like solid rock. Now, does your shoulder feel like solid rock?
Depends what part you touch. I'm
Uh,
pretty solid traps, so like not to toot my own horn, but I definitely need to be flexing before we touch them. But no, I'm not. I wouldn't quite say I'm Brett the Hitman Hart by any means. Again, maybe one day.
Now, I like your look in the ring. You know, you look intimidating, and that's good, you know. Um, where did the face paint come from? You got the line of face paint across here. Where did that
Yeah.
come from? I like it too, but where does that come from?
Well, originally when I went heel and introduced the character that I'm still now, I was tag teaming with my brother, and he very much so is like full face of paint. So I don't know if you're familiar with the term like corpse paint. It's like a lot of metal bands will do like the black and white face paint, and it's meant to be
Okay.
all messy and like the metal bands with like their logos, you
Yeah.
can barely read them. It's that kind of vibe. So a bit of the inspiration is I'm very into that kind of music, so it's kind of that without going full on that because I'm not artistic enough to do that on my own face.
Hmm.
Um, but it was also to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like mold my look to sort of fit in with what my brother was doing because obviously he's very, very full on character gimmick. I was like, I want to be similar, but not completely the same, so that there is like a difference between us. Sometimes for certain big shows and stuff like a Halloween show, I'll add a little bit more face paint and stuff. But yeah.
Now, okay. Now, as you're getting into wrestling, you know, you become Hayden Morgan, the character. What, I'm trying to get into your thought process of how you wanted to be perceived in the ring, you know, and like I want to be like this or like that, or I want to show this kind of I wouldn't say physical image, but mental image people get when they think of you in terms of your psyche. How much goes into you thinking about how you want to come across?
Quite a lot. Like in so there's parts of it come naturally, and it's just sort of second nature now. I know when I go through the curtain, switch on, Hayden Morgan, go and do it. Um, but then I do find myself at times during matches sort of being like cautious of how I'm selling things, how I'm maybe interacting with my opponent or the crowd. I'm like, what would Hayden do? What would Hayden do here? Um, I very much so. I'm like, I wanna come across aggressive because that's what I'm known for. Aggressive. I'm a little bit of a mouthpiece, so I always try to keep an ear to snap back at the fans and stuff. Because a lot of them come for the back and forth. They just love shouting abuse at us. Um, but I'm also like trying to portray that I'm a little bit unhinged, and that's maybe the Dean Ambrose, kind of inspiration there. But the stable that I'm a part of, we're sort of like a cult as such. We call ourselves a family. Um, so there's different traits in like each of us. Like my brother, again, he's very is brooding the word. Like he's just, I mean, he comes out the curtain, he doesn't say anything, and people immediately are like, oh, just from how he looks. He's very menacing, just in aura, just in appearance. He doesn't speak a lot. He lets his actions just completely get him over that way. So that's where I'm just a bit more of like the psycho mouthpiece that yeah. I'm a bit unpredictable too. Like I kind of cover different grounds even in my moveset. But I want to come across like just like a psychopath basically.
Now, when you do promos, is there any wrestlers that inspired you in terms of how you do your promos?
Um Promos are a weird one. I hated them at the start. And the only reason I ever sort of got better at them was the guys that I'm currently in the stable with. Like when my brother wants to talk, he's very, very good in the microphone, very good at promos. His are all very cryptic and there's so much thought goes into his. They're mini masterpieces rather than just turn the camera on, speak to the camera sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, Another guy, Deacon, he is like just give him a microphone. He's nothing planned. He's just going out there, and it's great every time. And then Jamie Grimm, he's also great. So I was like, I can't fall behind these guys and be the only person who can't do promos. So
Hmm.
in a real life sense, they inspired me, not necessarily someone, on WWE or whatever. It was like the guys that I'm in a stable with have kind of forced me to get better at them. So I took bits of inspiration from them. I always run things past my brother because like he's great. Um, so that's where I got my main motivation from, but I wouldn't say there's anybody that I watch and I take loads of inspiration from one specific person.
Hmm.
Um, it's just small things like maybe the way that someone's body language is. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to get across in my next promo. So it depends on the promo and like what the show is, what I'm trying to get across in the promo, all that sort of stuff. If anything, I think I sort of just do whatever feels natural to me, but I do take a lot of what not to do in a promo. I pay attention
Hmm.
to things I personally don't like.
It's interesting because promos can really like. I'm going to tell you one of the best textbooks for promos was the old feud between the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and the Nature Boy Ric Flair. You know, I remember those two would have people just anticipating just through their promos that by the time they got to the ring, you were like, yeah, and those two they really got the fans long before they hit the ring just through their promos. Rowdy Roddy Piper was a natural with promos. Randy Macho Man Savage needs no introduction in terms of promos. Jake the Snake Roberts was uh, a natural at it. Terry Funk um, often said, Terry Funk has been quoted as saying, "You might not believe wrestling's real, but you'll certainly believe I'm real." And of course, Terry Funk got carried that, uh, especially the stuff he did to his body. But yeah, they were masters at promos with the mic and psyching up the crowd and getting them into it. Um, I love a good finishing move. Do you have a favorite finishing move?
Um, Obviously, I like my own. It
Mhm.
has won many matches for me. But this this is a weird one. So I hate pile drivers. I hate them. They're disgusting. They make me cringe. They make me sick. But in terms of like, oh yeah, I would believe that's the match done. Like if I see a pile driver, it's oh no, one, two, three, done. See you later. As much as I don't like them, it's a devastating finisher to me. Um, but
One of the most devastating pile drivers I've ever seen is the one that Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff would do, especially when he turned on Hulk Hogan. He hit Hulk Hogan with a pile driver, and it just looked devastating, and Hogan convulsing on the mat. And that was feud of the year in 1986, I believe, when those two were clashing. Pile driver, yeah, I don't think I'd ever want to have that move done to me either. You
oh,
know, there's a there's a legendary story. I think it was through a pile driver. I could be wrong, but it definitely showed me how tough somebody could be. I think there's the old story. Stan Hansen did a pile driver on Bruno Sammartino, and Bruno's neck was broken. However, Bruno finished the match.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
That's
Bruno. Well, Bruno finished. Not only did Bruno finish the match, but story has it he went. I don't know, a week or two after that, and it was like he just had this pain in his neck, and he went to the doctor, and you got broken neck. Bruno didn't know his neck was broken,
that's insane.
which, yeah, yeah. There's a reason Bruno was champion for 8 years.
I mean, so
But
that's nuts. No way.
yeah, yeah. But and then they started banning the pile driver. Of course, Undertaker still did his tombstone pile driver, which I'd like to say he orchestrated that, but Don the Magnificent Morocco did that pile driver before he did. But Undertaker was very safe with it,
Yeah, definitely.
except when you listen to Hulk Hogan. But Hulk Hogan lives in fantasy world half the time when he talks about that stuff, and I heard Undertaker address that. But but yeah, pile drivers look devastating. I think my favorite finishing move is the DDT, but only the DDT done by Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay, fair.
Because when Jake did it, you didn't get up.
Yeah,
Now everybody does it, but when Jake
yeah,
the Snake did the DDT, you didn't get up.
yeah. That's the thing. I think moves change, so just like it's things evolve, things move on, but like when you look at like a DDT back in that era of wrestling, it was a finishing move. Like you on your head, the match is over. But now it's just like it's a filler move for people. They're just like, oh, I'll just do this in the middle of a match, and it's crazy. It's like
Oh,
bring back the realism to that.
Jake the Snake was asked about that. He was asked whether or not he was upset with how the DDT is used today, and Jake said no, he's not upset because whenever he did the DDT, you didn't get up, which means the guys doing it today aren't doing it right.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do a tilt-a-whirl version, and I did. It wasn't my finisher, but it was like a signature. So I don't know, moves like that. You have to protect them a little bit. So I would still class it as one of the best finishers.
I love it. I love it. Um, But yeah, Jake talked about that. There was the classic feud between him and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and it started at Saturday night's main event. And the whole story was that Jake was to DDT Steamboat outside on the concrete. And Jake the Snake said, you can't do this. You can kill the person. And Ricky Steamboat is just a total professional. He's one of the best in-ring talents ever, is Ricky Steamboat. And Steamboat had said to Jake, just do it. I'll block it. I'll block it. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen. And when you watch that match, because it ended in, of course, a DQ, you could see Jake lifts Steamboat up to put him in the ring, and you could tell Jake's lifting dead weight.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now Steamboat realized that Jake didn't do that on purpose, and they went on. When he come back, they had a great back and forth feud. But Jake said, "Yeah, you can't play with the DDT." And there was something about the way Jake did it, that's so different than any other wrestler. It's funny. You mentioned Dean Ambrose. There was a match where the Shield was attacking CM Punk. And then you hear the music of Jake the Snake, and Jake the Snake's coming down to the ring. Jake didn't do a DDT here, but they were caught such off guard that CM Punk hit his finisher on Dean Ambrose. Of course, Jake opened that bag and flung that python into the ring. I'm going to tell you, you had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins cleared out of the ring, and you got Dean Ambrose laying in the ring. Jake puts that snake on top of Dean Ambrose. You can see Dean Ambrose with a friggin' grin on his face on the mat. And I'm like, he is loving this, you know? Obviously, he was a fan of Jake the Snake growing
Yeah.
up, but you can tell he's friggin' got a grin on his face while trying to be unconscious, you know? I love that, you know? Um, but uh, nevertheless, do you have a favorite type of match that you like? Now, for me, growing up, I always loved it when there's a steel cage match, and I'm not talking a Hell in a Cell. I'm talking about steel cage match. You know, I loved it. They enter the cage, and they're just and there's that legendary spot where Jimmy Superfly Snuka jumps off the top of the cage with that splash, which was out of this world when that was done, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite type of match?
Do you know, it's not even as crazy as like a cage match, but I there's something about a Royal Rumble. I love, love, love it. It's just the more so like back back a few years. There was more surprise. There was that like you actually don't know who is coming to the ring next. Um Whereas now it's near enough nearly all announced. There's always spoilers that someone's showing up and coming back to WWE, and you can pretty much guarantee you know who's coming. You just don't know what order. But a Royal Rumble, it's just very nostalgic for me. It just when I was younger, like sitting up watching it, and eyes are so dry because of the time difference. But like it's just exciting. I went through a phase where I didn't really watch a lot of wrestling, but I still
Mhm.
always watch the Royal Rumble. In terms of matches to like have and be in, the past year or so, I've got to be in quite a few like no DQ weapon matches, and I enjoy that.
One of my favorite wrestlers to do matches like that was Terry Funk because Terry Funk could do a technical match with a guy like Ric Flair.
Mm.
He could also brawl, but he could do the hardcore stuff. Mick Foley learned to do hardcore from Terry Funk. And if you watch Terry Funk and All Japan Wrestling or New Japan Wrestling, like Terry Funk was in matches with exploding barbed wire and stuff like that. And Terry would always come out bleeding. Uh,
Mm.
my brother and I were watching some Terry Funk matches in Japan, and we're like, I wonder if he's going to not bleed in this match. Of course,
Unlikely.
he he always bled, and we loved it too. I love it when they bleed in the matches because it brings a whole level of believability to it. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh, I wouldn't say I'm at the stage where I'm maybe going that extreme. But it's obviously like on an independent level, you don't have you're not on
Mm.
TV, you don't have those crowds. So taking high risks like that for, maybe 100 people is crazy. Um, but it's just they're fun. I know it sounds so weird, but like going through a table, it's an adrenaline rush. It's fun. Yeah, you feel it the next day, but I don't exactly think I'll be going through exploding barbed wire anytime soon. No.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I'm trying to think where I was going with this. Oh yeah, I wouldn't recommend you bleed either. You're too darn beautiful, so we don't
Oh,
want to see you do that. We don't
thanks.
want your forehead looking like Abdullah the Butcher, you know.
Oh no, I'm not bleeding. No way. It either happens naturally or it does. I just don't bleed.
But I'm gonna tell you, you're a Lita fan. Did you ever hear the story about her bleeding?
I don't think so.
Okay, she was in a match with, I believe it was Ivory, and that the a move was botched where and it was totally by accident. It wasn't done on purpose, but Ivory got her heel up and it caught Lita in the face and she ended up bleeding. She was busted open.
Yeah.
And Lita was saying in her book that she went back in the dressing room and she looked in the mirror and she was like, "Man, I look so badass."
That honestly, that is the way every wrestler I know is. They're like after the match, like check have I got any marks on my back? Oh, cool, take a picture of it for me. It's this weird thing where wrestlers love the war wounds. They're like, oh, I'm so cool.
Yeah, so that's an interesting Lita story, but that wasn't planned. That was a botch. And but anyway, talk about being hit with chairs or Kindle sticks and stuff like that, because I know you've done stuff like that. Is there a preference for you? Is there something you prefer to be hit with if you're going to be?
I love going through tables. That is genuinely fun for me. So I'll pick that over everything always. Kendo sticks, I actually don't really mind them. Um, they suck. I mean, they do suck, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So I feel like I would prefer a kendo stick over a chair. I've been hit with a chair maybe twice. One was actually a match I was against my fiance. Um, and he hit me. It was like a sequence of moves, and I was in the corner, but like sat down, and he had accidentally had landed on my knee, and my knee kind of like jerked backwards. And then very shortly after that, I get up and he hits me with the chair. And obviously, like we say to each other, hit me for real, lay it in. Don't just go easy on me just because it's me.
Mhm.
Because we feel like because quite a lot of people will know that he's my partner, so it's like we have to fight each other 10 times harder to like shatter that illusion for 10 minutes so that they forget like real life us and are just focused on the wrestlers. But he hit me so hard with the chair I could have killed him in that moment. I was like, oh, like my soul left my body and my knee was like giving out a little bit. It was the first time I think I've ever been winded in a match, and I was panicking because I was like, I might actually have to like call this match. But then I got like a second rush of adrenaline for yeah, no, I'm gonna get him back.
Was
So
that
I
your
think
wor was that your worst injury you've ever had?
no, definitely not. I wasn't like injured. It was just in that moment I was like didn't expect it because I've never really been hit with a chair that hard before. So it did just knock the wind out of me temporarily. But I was fine the next day, other than, just feeling achy. I've had concussions. I had one in particular was really bad, so it's maybe my worst that way. But around just shortly before my debut, I actually had damaged my elbow in freak accident. It was such a basic thing. Like in the middle of an international sequence where someone ducks and the other person leaps over them.
Mhm.
I was practicing that and training with my brother, who is considerably taller than me, and I'm not really good at jumping anyway. So I didn't get enough height, and I kind of caught in his back and went forwards, and my elbow bent in on itself. But I didn't tell anybody, which is so stupid. If you're injured, tell people. Because I was like a few months away from my debut, and I was like, I'm not messing this up now, no way. So I kind of kept working through it for a few months, got through my debut match, and then was like, I'm in far too much pain. But it turned out I had like hyperextended my elbow. I have permanent nerve damage from it. I had bruised the bone, bruised the muscle. Like it was really bad. It took ages to heal as well. That I think that would definitely be the worst one, like because I have permanent nerve damage. So I mean, but it was a freak accident, and that's what I don't think people realize, like how much wrestlers put their body on the line, even within training, like stuff that people aren't paying to go and see, the stuff that's behind closed doors, we're still putting our
Mhm.
bodies in risk.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, that would be a difficult injury to take. I'm going to say I think I would find you more intimidating than your fiance or your brother.
Well, I mean, my fiance is a sweetheart. He quite literally is the baby face. So everyone loves him. Um, my brother though, you just need to be in his presence. It's the aura. Once you feel it, you're like, oof. Like so many people who know him quite well are weirded out by like him talking to them like real life him, but still with the face paint on. It's kind of like, ooh, go take that off and then come talk to me.
So you like going through tables. You must be a really big hit at Thanksgiving dinner, huh?
Or not, because I'm just ruining Thanksgiving.
Now I
I just
was,
think it's fun. Tables are fun.
yeah. Do they not let you sit with everybody else at the family dinners?
No, they don't trust me around tables anymore.
I was gonna say I had through Leslie Hoffman, I got to interview James E. Davidson. I didn't know who he was until about a week ago, maybe, because I've had Leslie Hoffman from A Nightmare on Elm Street on here a couple times, and I reached out to have her come on for a third time, and she said, "Oh, I do cut this stuff through my manager now," and I was like, "Oh, like why? You and I communicate, you know?"
Yeah.
But she put his email address and stuff down, and I didn't say anything. But I work overnights. I'm a cleaner.
Okay.
Yep. So I was I got to work and then I noticed on Facebook I had a friend's request. And I kind of noticed, I was like, I recognize this name. Jamesy did. So I went and I looked through the past message from Leslie Hoffman. I was like, Jamesy Davidson. Wow, he just sent me a friend's request. So, okay, he's kind of serious about me. So I accepted his friend's request and I actually reached out to him right then and there. And I invited him to come on the show because I kind of wanted to hear his story, you know? And he came on here, had a nice chat with him. He said he trusts me because he trusts Leslie. I was like, I appreciate that vote of confidence. And so he's kind of going through because I've interviewed three of his other talents as well. But we're talking about, of course, the wrestling. And out of all the wrestlers, I was drawn to you. That
That's
flaming
good.
orange hair and all of this. And I was like, I said, yeah, we gotta talk about Hayden. Hayden looks badass, you know? He told me a story. I've heard similar stories like this too. But he told the story about you.
I'm intrigued.
Well, he said that you hit him with a chop on the chest.
Oh yeah.
No, he said no. You weren't angry at him or anything.
Oh no 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 yeah, I
Yeah,
know what he's talking about.
yeah. Well, he said I think he wanted to know what it felt like or something. I've heard stories like that, you know. And he said, "Wow, boy, she really lay that in, you know."
Yeah, I like chops. I think they're fun. It's we always joke around and I feel bad because like I've left handprints on people before, but in my defense they said, yeah, lay it in, just hit me with it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you'll face your own consequences. Like you're the one who told me to do this, so you've been warned, sort of thing. But there's times when like we're winding up the trainees and stuff at our wrestling school, and my brother will be like, "Oh, if you don't do it this time, Holly's gonna chop you." And I'm like, "No, no, no, I feel like it's torture. I feel like it's punishment. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I have to do this." But then when I'm hating, I don't care. It's afterwards when like we go backstage and make sure everyone's okay, and then I see my handprints coming up. I'm like, I'm so sorry. That wasn't me. That was Hayden.
I got a story about this though. I love listening to shoe interviews, you know, and back in the late 80s, there was a big feud between Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Greg the Hammer Valentine. And those are two guys that love to just lay it in, you know? And I've heard this from both of them. They both said they loved wrestling each other because they could really lay it in on each other. And they
Yeah.
both have said, I heard them in separate interviews say, when you hear them chop each other and you hear the snapping of that, they said that's for real.
Hmm.
Valentine said Valentine said, and I saw this match, he said there was one match where his chest is bleeding. Garvin was laying it in so hard. And Valentine apparently was loving this, and vice versa. They loved getting in the ring together because they would lay it in.
Yeah.
Now, there's wrestlers that wrestle stiff, and there's wrestlers that don't. And I hear some of these stories. It's pretty interesting. Um, are you stiff in the ring, or are you?
I mean, I do let it in. I prefer it that way. It's giving them something to sell. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, if you're actually hitting them, they're gonna react to it. I prefer to be hit as well. My pet peeve is when people are like scared to hit me. I'm like, I get it. I know. I'm friendly and I'm a girl and I'm nice, but like, I promise you, if you don't hit me hard, you're going to want to after I hit you. So please just hit me hard. It genuinely it like fires you up. It gives you more adrenaline. It gets you more into the match in a very weird way. Um, I work with a lot of people who see some people think of stiff as a bad thing. I don't think it is. I think it's positive connection. Um, but my most fun matches are the more stiff matches. To be fair, so I like to hit hard, but sometimes I do ease up if I'm against certain people and they're really not laying it in because I'm like I don't want to just be absolutely battering them and they're barely connecting with me.
I have a fun story about this. I've had Teal Piper on here, Roddy Piper's daughter on here. She's involved with a tag team called House of Heathens with her partner Damos. And Damos was telling an interesting story because her being Roddy Piper's daughter, there's some history where Roddy Piper was involved in the first Starcade. He was in a dog collar match against Greg the Hammer Valentine, which of course Piper had won the match. Well, Damos got to wrestle Greg the Hammer Valentine. Of course, Valentine now, as of this interview, he's 73 years old. He would have been in his 60s whenever he was in the ring with Damos. And Damos did not want to lay into him because Valentine was in his 60s. He told this funny story where they were in the corner and Valentine says to him, "You hit like a little bitch. Lay it in."
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe like I said, he maybe feels the same that actually being hit kind of fires him up. And you got to do what you got to do. There's two guys. One of the guys is in like my stable, and the other one is one of our trainees. The last match we had, it was like a 4v4 no DQ match,
Mhm.
and so we've got Deacon and we've got Josh. And apparently Josh hit Deacon and he was like, what the hell is this? Josh normally hits way harder than that. So Deacon thought he was smart and he smacked Josh across the face to try and like fire him up and be like, I'm gonna hit you hard, so hit me back. Josh definitely got the message because the echo of the slap he hit Deacon with after that was insane. And then they just back and forth, just smack, smack, and it was just echoing around the room. It sounded like people were getting hit with like whips. It was just like,
Mhm.
so I was like, what are they doing? But there's a lot of guys like that who just are like, hit me. I mean it.
I want to ask about some of your opponents. I got your YouTube up here, uh, YouTube matches, and I watched some of your matches in preparation for this. I gotta say, I like what I see out of you, especially you coming out with two belts, you know. I'm like,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, you know. Um,
I temporarily had four.
Why only temporarily? Explain yourself.
Temporarily, because as you seen, Bella had turned on me, so we were the Firestar Women's Tag Champions, and then I won the Firestar Women's Championship. So I had those two belts from Firestar. I have the CW Women's World Title and the Stay True Openweight title, but since Bella and I couldn't get along, we had to relinquish the tag titles. So then I was down to three.
Gonna have to discipline that girl.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I noticed this person has a YouTube channel, a Fleetwood in Focus. There's a Nisa Fleetwood.
Yeah, Nisa.
Nisa, okay, my apologies. I did want to mispronounce her name. I saw this match and you pick her right up over your shoulders. So you're showing some nice strength there. Talk about working with her.
Yeah, she was really good to work with. That was our first time ever working together. She's a lovely, lovely girl. Um, yeah, I think we had a good match. It was it was very just straightforward. I like matches like that where it's just not stressful, and even though you don't know the person, you already just kind of trust them. Do you know what I mean? There's
Hmm.
some matches where you may be like, "Ugh, don't know how this one's gonna go. Not sure if we have like natural chemistry or not." But no, I thought that match was just a breeze to go through with her. I would definitely like to work with her again because I think both of us were still very very fresh still. When maybe sometimes I like to work with the same person a few times so then we can build on that chemistry together and get to know each other better and then obviously put on better matches.
Hmm.
Um, but I think we're both different beasts now compared to what we were. So it would be really cool to work with her again. Um, but she's a really good opponent.
Hmm. And of course, I saw you in the ring with Summer Rain. I'm surprised she doesn't come out to the Belinda Carlisle song, Summer Rain.
Maybe suggest that one.
Huh?
Maybe suggest that one to her.
There you go. Talk about working with Summer Rain.
Summer's another really good one. Yeah, I've worked with her a few times. She was constantly coming after mine and Bella's tag titles and wouldn't give up. I've worked with her a lot in Firestar as well. Um, she is she can be pretty feisty herself, to be honest. So we've had some good back and forth. She I think she's a little bit of an underdog, to be honest,
Hmm.
but she has a lot of potential. And I'm quite excited to see what she does in Firestar next. I know she's been working harder than ever lately.
Hmm.
Um, so I would like to go against her again as well. It's been a while since we've had a singles match, and kind of the same thing I said with Nisa. I think we're both completely different wrestlers now than we were when we had our first match up together. But she's another lovely girl as well. They're both very good to work with.
I really like, again, I hope I'm not mispronouncing this person. Uh, Akuli Bella, is that how you say that?
The Oracle, Bella.
Oracle. Oh, I'm so sorry. I really dig you two together, 'cause it's like you're out trying to out psych the crowd, you know. Um, I
It's a
like
lot of,
her.
lot of mind games.
Yeah, I like her a lot. Talk about working with her.
Yeah, she is another one who is quite unpredictable as well. She gets underestimated a lot too because of her size. Um, she's small, but she's mighty.
Oh,
Um,
that's what I got too, you know. It's like she she's she came across as somebody you might underestimate and then you end up paying for it, you know. She I like the matches that featured the two of you because you two were an intimidating tag team.
yeah, I think we kind of had good dynamic as well because obviously with her size, she she's very good with the more like high flying springboard, all that sort of stuff. So I think we worked well together because I could cover the strength and sort of the more powerhousey kind of moves, and
Uh-huh.
then she was covering that other side. So you pair us together, and you don't really know what you're going to get hit with, but it's coming at you from all directions.
Okay. Now, again, my apologies if I butcher names here. I don't want to be disrespectful, but uh, Chica Veladora?
Chica Folidora,
Oh,
yes.
okay. All right. Talk about
Uh,
working with Chica.
Chica Folidora is a recent development. You'll see yourself if you were to follow Stay True on YouTube. We're in the process of getting everything uploaded, but she is very new to the scene.
Hmm.
Um, she wrestles under two different names. So she also wrestles here as Rey Mysterious Girl. Um, so
Okay.
very, very high flyer. The stuff that again in that match she was very new. That was her first time actually ever wrestling a tag match.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's another one. The size, like she gets underestimated a lot, but she's going to tire you out. Like you might have strength, but you're going to be so tired before you even get to her because she's so high energy, and now she's just like she's starting to do swantons and everything, and she just attacks you like she really does. She's improving a lot from where she was. It's actually my sister. That's the development that's came out recently. So on our last show, she unmasked and shock of the century turned on her own brother and sister. Um, so like I'm on a real personal level, like I'm very proud of her and the stuff that she's doing, but I'm very good at separating the family thing for in the moment of in the ring. Um, she's a menace. She's a menace in the ring. She loves to wind you up and like play her own mind games and get under your skin. Because
Hmm.
she knows she's quick, she knows she's nimble, she knows she can slip under your arms and then go, nah. So she does wind you up in the ring a lot, but she's another one with a lot of potential. But yeah, don't underestimate her either.
Succubus. Now, I like that when she could that three-way match, she came out there with those bat wings on, and she ended up having to deal with she
Both of
had the
us.
2-on-1.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a united front. We were the established tag team at the time.
Mhm.
And that was the plan going into it. Succubus is making quite a name for herself at the minute, so we were aware of the threat that she brings. Um, she's very, very talented. So the thought process was there's two of us, there's one of her. If we wear her down, like I don't know where we thought things were going to go when it was just me and Bella left. But Succubus is another one with a lot of fight in her. Um, yeah, tides turned very, very quickly with her. You think you've got the upper hand, and then she's like throwing out crossbodies and wiping us out.
The last name I want to bring up is Leonie Rose.
Leonie Rose is great. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time in the ring with her. We briefly had a bit in a tag match. I would
Yeah, I
love to wrestle.
watched that. Yeah, I watched that. Yeah. Her
She's
and
another.
Submarine, yeah.
Yeah, she's very, very fiery, very feisty. She'll kick your head off in an instant. Um, and she hits hard. She hits hard, but I like it that way. So I would love to cross paths with her again. She's very, very talented. And she's also starting to climb the ranks and make a good name for herself.
Is there a type of match you haven't done that you would like to do?
Probably I mean, there's loads of matches I haven't done. Hmm. I think like a Elimination Chamber, when I was watching it, I was like, that's interesting to me. I would like to try something like that. Obviously on the independent scene, it's definitely not really a thing that ever happens anywhere. But like just fantasy booking sort of thing, if I would really like to do an elimination chamber.
Have you ever done a cage match?
Nope, I would do that too. I would give it a go, but like I'm not doing any McFoley type stuff. None of that. No way.
You're not going to get up on the top of the cage like Jimmy Superfly Snuka and swan dive your opponent and splash.
No, no. I would probably be like, yeah, I'll climb to the top, and then be like, oh, how am I getting back down from here? Oh dear.
So when are we going to get a Hayden Morgan action figure?
I actually have one that my
Do
brother
you?
made ages ago. Yeah. It's like very old attire kind of when I first started wrestling as Hayden Morgan. Um, he's very artistic. He's very talented. It was like a present, which I thought was quite sweet. But in terms of a mass-produced action figure, that's the dream really when you like used to collect figures and then I'm sure it's so cool when you actually like, oh my gosh, I'm actually a figure now. Um, someday if I get famous enough though, I guess.
I now, back in the 1980s, there was the LGN ones, the rubber ones.
Mm.
And I now collect those. And a lot of the conventions I go to, I'll find them, and those are interesting. I have a big bag full. Just a second, I'll show them. I've got a big bag full of them. It was about 70 in the line, and I must have a good fair share of them right now. They're starting to make a bit of a comeback, but yeah, there's like Bruno San Martino. They're all pre-posed, but they're rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, these were cool. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in a really cool pose.
They are cool.
Yeah, I like these. You could throw them down a flight of stairs. You're not gonna hurt them.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
important playing with them as a kid as well.
yeah. And I bet you had a big crush on the Iron Sheik, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I find a lot of these at the conventions, and I started collecting them. So, Jake the Snake. I actually found Jake the Snake with the python at the last convention I was at. So I get a couple of Jake the Snakes here, you know. So they were making a whole bunch of these back in the 80s, George the Animal Steel. He used to eat the turnbuckles. He
Are
had
they
hair
expensive
all,
now?
huh?
Are they expensive now?
Not if you find them at the cons, because the cons generally they're opened. But if you try to find them in their packages, they can be very
Yeah.
pricey, you know. These ones here, some of these somebody got me from a flea market, but I find a lot of them at the conventions, you know. This one's a really nice one too. This is one of the nicest ones was Randy Macho Man Savage.
Nice. That's
Oh
good.
yeah, they did a great job on him. Yeah, these were made back in the 80s, right around the time of WrestleMania 1. And they started making these, and some of them they're starting to do customs now.
Oh yeah.
I ordered this custom because this was not in the original line. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they did it LGN style.
Nice.
So that is beautiful figure. And I'm gonna say this. AEW is kind of caught onto this. They did a special, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, LJN.
Nice.
Yeah. I really like these. I really like these. So I've got a bunch of them. Uh, I even when I went to New Jersey Chiller, I'd never seen this figure. I knew it existed, never seen it. Jimmy Superboy Snuka. So I grabbed him whenever uh, I got the chance. I hope they start doing some females. There was only one female in the original line, and that was Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, it's hard to find them with accessories. She's supposed to have
Yeah.
a skirt, and so she doesn't have a skirt. But there's a lot of them. It's hard to find them with their accessories. So uh, it becomes a process. Like Rowdy Roddy Piper, I've got two of them, and no kilt yet.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's hard to find them. I've got four Terry Funks. I finally found one with the hat. No branding iron yet. So I finally got a Terry Funk with a hat. So I'm like, well, I'm probably gonna have to get five of them now to get the hat. There he is. I got a hat with him.
nice.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So these were fun to collect, and so I grab these when I see them at the cons now. And a lot of times, they won't be that expensive. Some can. I've seen them at cons where they are pricey, but a lot of times if they were pre-used and stuff, they won't be as pricey. So I remember when I was at Frightmare in the Falls, uh, a horror convention, somebody had a bin of these, and he was like, "Gee, you must have most of the figures because there's a lot you're overlooking here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got a lot of those. I got a lot of doubles and stuff like that." So yeah, I'm waiting for the Hayden Morgan figure.
Maybe I have to look into getting a custom.
You should do that so you can give one to your brother.
Yeah, yeah, I might look into it. It's pretty cool though. It's a weird, maybe kind of vein. I don't know, but it's cool to have a figure of yourself, especially when you're like, oh, maybe I can do it one day, and you're like, oh, that's a wrestling figure of like me and how I actually look when I'm wrestling. I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, yeah. Are you on do you have any social media or web page or anything like that you want to
Um,
plug on here?
yeah, I have Facebook. If you just type in Hayden Morgan, should come up under sports person. And then my Instagram is HM Hayden Morgan.
I
Uh,
actually have seen your Instagram. Yes. Yeah.
I don't really use Twitter or X. I have an
I don't
account,
either.
but I don't really use it. It's so there's no point following me on there. And then if you want to see more of my matches, like I said, if you follow Stay True Wrestling on YouTube, all our shows are slowly getting uploaded on there. We're just waiting on just editing and stuff finishing up. But there's a whole backlog, so there'll be so much content going up.
Okay.
But also stay true NI on Instagram. That's how you'll get updated when things are being uploaded and stuff, which is the promotion I primarily wrestle for.
Are you on Cameo?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I have an interesting Cameo story. You must be, since you like Lita, you must be familiar with Tori Wilson.
Yeah.
I love Tori Wilson, but she showed me a lot about the kind of person she is on Cameo because I reached out to her because there was a challenge going out for suicide and depression awareness. And you remember when the Ice Bucket Challenge was big for ALS?
Yes, I did that.
Yeah. Yep. My dad passed away from that. But
Oh,
yeah. After that happened, there was one that came out for suicide depression awareness after Robin Williams passed, and it was called the Doubtfire Face Challenge. It involved you taking a pie in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was suggested to me by a friend of mine who is a big wrestling fan. Throw it out to some wrestlers. I threw it out. Teal Piper did it, Roddy's daughter. She did it right on my birthday. But I threw it out to Tori Wilson. And Tori Wilson did one. And it was really cool because if I ever meet her at a con, I'm going to thank her because it
Yeah.
told me a lot about the kind of person she is that
Yeah.
that she would do that, you know. So I love Tori Wilson for that. James Ellsworth did one too, you know. Plus, he talked about doing matches where he got beat up by the women. He said it's a tough job, but somebody has to do it. He had such a great attitude, but yeah, uh, it's too bad you're not on Cameo. I would have threw that out to you.
Yeah, I have people getting on at me to get on all these platforms, but like I'm so terrible with like technology and social media and stuff.
You
It's so
know
much
what?
up and ugh.
So am I. So am I. I'm terrible at that stuff too. I'm not very tech savvy. But anyway, do you have any charities that you're involved with that you want to plug on here that are dear to you?
Um, there's Focus. It's a charity that is also about suicide prevention in the community quite local to me. So you can find them on Facebook. I'm not sure about Instagram, but yeah, they're definitely on Facebook. I think it's quite an important charity as well. And it's similar to like what you were saying yourself there. Um, there's loads of charities that I think would be personal, like to me, but Focus is one. Again, my brother works very closely with them as well. So yeah, that's the main one I'd plug.
If I donated to Focus, would you do a Doubtfire challenge?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it would involve taking a pie in the face.
it's fine. I've got hit by chairs. A pie in the face is a walk in the park in comparison.
Okay. No, I've done that before where I would give to charity a person's choice if they do a Doubtfire face challenge. So, yeah, where would be the best way to get hold of you? Would it be through that Facebook page? Do you see your stuff
Uh,
on?
yeah, Facebook or Instagram. Either
Okay.
or.
Okay. I'll do that. I'm gonna look that up. Focus. So that's a web page, right?
Yeah, I was looking for my phone. It's my phone that I'm using to be on this. I can if you get in touch with me on Facebook or Instagram, I can send it over to you, a link to the page.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll make a donation if you do a Doubtfire Face challenge. Now, one of the great things about Doubtfire Face challenge is you get to nominate three people too. So
Oh, I've got three in my head immediately.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, the rest of my stable.
Yep. So yeah, go for that. So but it was really cool. Tori Wilson did one, James Ellsworth did one, and so did Teal Piper. She did one. I've had various people in the acting community and stuff that's done it, you know, but in terms of wrestling, because I've thrown them out. It's hit or miss on Cameo, and I hate sending a cameo out to somebody and donating to their charity and then they back out of it. That
Yeah,
bothers me. What I loved about Tori Wilson is she just up and did it.
yeah. I
And I
mean,
thought,
it's pie in the face. It's not gonna kill you.
no, no. Okay. No, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll I'll either Instagram or the Facebook or one or the other. I'll send you a message. It'll be from, of course, Craig Gilbert. So if you get a message from my name, you'll know it's me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to promote on here? You got any upcoming shows or?
Yes, so just under a month away, we're Stay True's having a double header weekend. It's the Future Proof tournament, which is the title that my brother Raylan Morgan currently holds. Um, Basically a tournament to see is Raylan going to keep it or can someone top him? So it's a 2 day tournament. The first day is Saturday, the 5th of April in Coleraine, and then Sunday, the 6th of April in Ballymoney. Um, if you check out Stay True on Instagram, all the details are on there for anybody who might be local enough to come and watch us. Again, it will be filmed and eventually put out for everyone to see online as well. But it's going to be a big weekend for Stay True. I will also be wrestling. I'm not part of the tournament, but
Well, there's a reason for that. You would have won. So
yeah, I would have had to beat my own brother, and that just would have been
yeah, like
trouble. So,
I know you would win it. I know you would
um,
win it. So
yeah.
they had to take you out of. It's so unfair because they knew you were going to win and they wouldn't let you in the tournament. Very unfair,
Have to
isn't
let
it?
someone else have the belts. It can't always be me.
I think you should have more than four. I think you should come out there covered in belts, have a hard time moving out to the ring.
I mean, honestly, like three belts is awkward enough. Four, I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. um, Good problems to have, but it's definitely challenging maneuvering, especially like when you're coming out of the curtain and you have to have an arm to move the curtain, but you're holding all these belts. It's like messing up my own entrance.
I got to admit, you look badass with the two belts. So
Thanks.
yeah, you do. Another thing I was talking to Jamesy about. Um, I have a friend of mine who's in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, Nancy McLaughlin. And she said that she's set to be doing the London Film Comic Con. And she
Oh,
said she invited me to come to that. Now, I've never been to the UK. I actually made my first trip to US last year to do a convention. And I would have been down to do the London convention. I know I'm closer than she is. She's in California. I'm definitely closer. My one big gripe is where I work as a cleaner, and I'm definitely on call a lot. Um, I have limited vacation time, and I notice there's going to be one going there and one going back, 10-hour layaways at the airport. And I'm like, that's like,
okay.
I hate that. I'm like, that's 2 vacation days. And I'm like, but I brought that up to Jamesy, and he said, yeah, he's done that convention. Do you get to do the conventions a lot?
I've never done a convention. I don't think I've ever been to any. But it would be interesting just to go to a convention, just
They're
to.
fun.
Yeah, I've always thought about doing one, but it's a similar thing. I'm always working. Um, we don't really get in like Northern Ireland. We have a convention. I've done it tattoo conventions, but never like Comic Con type things. But I would love to go to one eventually.
You get tattoos?
Yeah, the tattoo convention, that's the most that we get here. We wrestled at it in the summer there. Stay True got to be part of the entertainment for it, which was really cool. It's quite a big event here, you know. So it's really cool to get to wrestle at it. I've quite a few tattoos, so
Oh wow. See,
yeah.
I don't have any tattoos. I'm not tough like you are.
The tough, the older I get, the more they hurt though, and I have like a lot of blank space still that I need to cover, and I'm like, ooh, these are starting to hurt more.
Yeah, the older you get, huh? Well, I'm gonna be 53 this year, so I'm like, yeah, I might duck out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Not
the
to say that you're old or anything, but like, I mean, I'm 27 and they're starting to suck. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm just battered and bruised from wrestling and I can't take anything else.
I remember 27. It seems so long ago now. Stephen Wright, the comedian, said that he once got a tattoo over his whole body of himself, but taller.
Nice. Yeah.
You know what, Hayden? You're every bit the delight that Jamesy said you were going to be.
Oh,
And
thank
yeah, I work overnight, so I've been letting my brother use my car because the battery went in his, so I'd stop off at his apartment while he's getting ready for work so that he could use uh, the car and then drive me back to my apartment. I took a few days because I wasn't familiar with you.
you.
So, but I'm one of these people, I love new guest ideas. And I was like, when he brought you up, I was like, yeah, I'll have her on the show. She looks badass in these photos. So I looked up a bunch of your matches, and what was so fun about this is you made me more not only more enticed to see more of you, but I got introduced to some of the people you worked with, um, and that makes it all the more fun. So I love that and the various people you worked with, and especially that little tight partner of yours.
Yeah. But, yeah, there's so much more that's not even like on YouTube. Like I say, when Stay True, when more of it gets brought up, you'll maybe see like a more hard hitting side of me. Because when I'm wrestling at home, like that stuff in England that you're saying. But when I'm wrestling in Northern Ireland, there's less females here.
Mhm.
So I'm mostly wrestling the men, which kind of brings out a different element here. Or for me, because I'm very much so want to prove that I can hang with the men, so I get to kind of unleash a little bit more strength and aggression and lay everything in that little bit more when I'm with the men. Because it was really only when I started wrestling in England, I was like, oh, I'm actually wrestling women now. But before that, it's just always been men, really, which I don't mind. We very much so don't see gender, and it's not intergender for us. It's just wrestler versus wrestler. Doesn't matter.
It's interesting like that because it was never used to be like that.
Yeah,
Um, it's funny because China was the first woman to enter a Royal Rumble.
yeah.
Yeah, and then Beth Phoenix did it. And then Awesome Kong, I think, did it as well. Now they have a female Royal Rumble, because there's so many women in wrestling now. And I think that's encouraging. I like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy wrestling, man, and to me, I don't like it. Doesn't at the start it would have maybe intimidated me a bit, but then you kind of get used to it because like I said, there's not a lot of women here, so I've pretty much always trained with just me and the boys. Like I'm one of the lads basically here, so at times I forget, and it's really only when I'm going over to England and I'm wrestling women that I realize, oh yeah, I don't do this normally. It's normally men.
When are you going to have a match with Jamesy?
With Jamesy,
Yeah.
Jamesy lives not too far from me, so I could go down and flog the whole thing right now.
I think you should. Yeah, I
I
think you should. I think that should be your cage match.
Oh, it's like a backstage angle of me just street fight. Me and
Yeah.
James brawling in the middle of this town.
I thought it was going to be you brawling and him running away.
Could be that too, yeah. He's not going to answer the door to me, to be honest. He'll know it's me.
We love you, Jamesy. I got one more question for you too. Because this comes up in wrestling a lot, and I find these stories so funny. Ribs, where people play ribs on wrestlers. You know what that term is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear the ribs. Owen Hart used to be a big ribber. Mr. Fuji was a classic ribber. I think one of my favorite ribs I ever heard was up on a plane. Uh, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig was seated with Yokozuna. And you remember Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Perfect played a rib on him where he was eating a chocolate bar and he gave one to Yokozuna, but it was laced with laxative.
Oh no.
And due to Yokozuna's size, he couldn't go to the washroom on the plane.
Oh no.
Apparently, the stewardess had to lay newspapers down for him to take a
Oh,
crap.
oh my. Oh, that's awful. That's awful.
Have have you ever played a rib or had a rib played on you?
Um, I don't, nothing in comparison to that. Like, I think we're actually all very well behaved here. But maybe that just inspires me that I need to start doing it. The closest thing we really had was a couple weeks ago. We were on our way back from a show and we'd stopped into like a petrol station. Um, and there was, like the toilets, and our ring announcer decided to take a traffic cone and block my fiance in the toilet. And then we all got in the car and he was like, panicking, shaking the door. It, it was very tame, but it was, one of them things where you're tired, you're kind of delirious a little bit, so it's way funnier than it should have been. But it was just the panic in his face. It's so cruel, but he couldn't get out, and we had to just kind of move the traffic cone for him. But it was something so simple, but it was funny. But I'm definitely gonna have to up my game.
Some
Which is
other ones,
terrifying my stable partners if they hear that I'm gonna start ribbing people.
some other ones I heard. Mr. Fuji used to spend a lot of money on ribs. Like I forget who he did this with, but he paid money to somebody to remove the engine out of some person's car. And when the person come out the next day and couldn't,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. Owen Hart, Bret Hart talks about this in his book. Owen Hart, Owen Hart rubbed sardines in his armpits.
Oh.
And Bret Hart said that Owen had him in a chokehold, and he said it literally killed.
Yeah, that's gross.
Some of those are just really hilarious stuff that I hear. Now, Princess Victoria here talked about a rib plate on her, but the other females, in fact, her partner Velvet McIntyre played it. She come out of the shower, couldn't find her clothes.
Oh, that's a classic one, isn't it?
She had to wrap herself up in paper towel and go out to the car, and she couldn't get in the car.
Oh no.
She said that the giveaway was she could hear some giggling. She says like she didn't know who was responsible for it till years later. She did not know for years and years and years that Velvet planned that. So so I hear stories like that and it's pretty fun. So some
Yeah,
some
we're all
of
very tame here, which I feel like I have got a rib in mind, and I was meant to do it at our last show, but I forgot about it. But I can't say because I haven't done it yet, and I'm still gonna do it.
okay.
So maybe I'll be on again in the future, and I can update you if this one
Oh,
goes
I'd
to.
love to have you on again. Yeah. One more that comes to mind, King Kong Bundy told this story, um, where he was told at this hotel food was on the house for the wrestlers,
Oh.
except for the fact that he didn't realize that the person that was telling him that over the phone was Owen Hart throwing his voice.
Yeah.
So when he ended up getting the massive bill for his food, he went downstairs to try to straighten this out. And when he saw Owen Hart down there, he's like, okay, he knew he'd been had. He said Owen Hart you can't be mad at. It's Owen Hart was just that likable. So
Yeah.
yeah. So stuff like that. Anyway, Hayden, it was wonderful having you come on here today, and you're every bit the delight that Jamesy said that you are, and
Very
I'm
much.
really well. I was happy to have you come on here and get to know you, and I'm very happy to discover you on YouTube, and I hope to see more of you because I
Thanks.
like what I'm seeing. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, yeah. Um, Before I let you go, I would love it if you did a plug for my show.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
just state your name, and if you want to mention the promotion you're involved in, you may. State your name, mention your promotion, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
okay. It's like a script. Just whenever, anytime
Yep,
I want.
yep, go
Okay.
for it.
I'm Hayden Morgan. I wrestle for Stage 3 Wrestling, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Got it on the first take.
One take wonder.
You know what? I remember the first when I had Colt and Ariel on in tribute to Rowdy Roddy Piper. Colt got it right off. It took Ariel like 5 times. And
Oh,
I kept the mistakes in because it was so funny. I had to keep them in. And I still communicate with Ariel, so but no, it was a delight to have you come on here. I expect to see a Hayden action figure.
I'll get right on it.
Yes, we need a Hayden action figure. Yep. And I'll reach out about Focus and I'll make a donation in turn for a Doubtfire Pie in the Face for suicide depression awareness. So, yeah. Anyway, anything else?
I think that's it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely, folks. This is Python signing out and here with Hayden Morgan. And check her out on YouTube. She is a badass. 2 belts on her shoulders, folks. You can't say that about everybody. And she said she had 4. We're gonna have her come out. She'll look like the Michelin tire person, only she'll be like belts coming out
Yeah.
to the ring.
The airport gets to see me coming.
There you go. There you go. Hayden, thank you so much. God bless you. Enjoy the UK. I've never been there. Maybe someday I'll see that side of the world. But in the meantime, you keep lighting it up there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. God bless you. Bye bye.
Bye.